Okay, so this video is about Ice Cube. And so I was sitting here, like, just sort of like in awe, in total awe. And I was looking at the criticism. There was a lot of criticism and backlash towards Ice Cube. And I was trying to figure out, well, why was this happening? Because I thought he was, someone that everybody, that was in the hip hop culture really enjoys his music. And so I said, there must be something going on. So I started looking at what was written. There's so many articles, and this one stood out because it's the way it's entitled, which is so fitting because the backlash, that's the first thing that jumped out at me. It said Ice Cube helped develop a new black Trump platform, and fans are calling him out over it. And so I had took the liberty upon myself to go and look at this issue a little deeper. And so you can even listen to this article if you want to, but I'm not going to play it. So I'm just going to read it. At least I'll tell you about it. Put it this way. So here's what happens. So I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if you can see this. Um, okay. So all right. So there was uh, a contract, and the contract is 23 pages long. And I skimmed through the contract and I looked at it, and it looked almost like the person did research and they pretty much put together um, sort of like a historical and itemized um, view of all of the events, a chronological and itemized view of all the events. It has some statistical figures in there, and then it also had some historical um, um, phrases, in other words, and some of the sentences spoke about the current events, starting with the George Floyd incident and some of the other current events that are going on. So this is a contract that is supposed to have been something that was put together in Ice Cube and some Republican representative individuals of Trump's cabinet and his conglomerate, and let's say that, um, our associates. There's so many words I could use. Pretty much, it's like they sat down and said, okay, let's look at the situation that is presently going on, and let's look at how this is affecting African Americans, the black community. And so what they did was put together what is called a platinum plan. And so when they put together this platinum plan, let me show you Ice Cube. I know a lot of people know who Ice Cube is. This is out of the complex, and this is the article. And I believe he was talking on a radio station probably about the very same thing that I'm talking about. So his position, Ice Cube, is that he basically, in a nutshell, was saying that he didn't really trust any of the politicians' um, positions, that he just wanted to know how they could put together a contract and pretty much that represents the black community, and that will put forth a plan for the black community's future so that they could thrive and that they could have jobs, they could have opportunities for, a list of things. And so, and, I don't know if you can see what I have pulled up. Let me see here. I don't know if it, no, you can't see it. You can basically just see Ice Cube because I didn't really. Uh, but I will read part of it while you're looking at Ice Cube. But it says there is a preface, and it's by Darrick Hamilton, a professor and executive director and Kirwan Institute at the Ohio State University, and incoming Henry Cohen, professor of economics and urban policy and a university professor at the New School. And so, of course, they're the ones that probably helped to um, put together this contract, and also Ice Cube put his expertise and input in this contract. And so supposedly the way the fans saw it is that he manipulated them and that he worked behind their back with the enemy, so to speak, with Trump's cohorts. And so it says, it goes on, it begins, this contract with the Black America strikes at the heart of racism and presents a blueprint to achieve racial economic justice. It was written in the backdrop of the killing of George Floyd, which set off a wave of protests not seen since the civil rights era of the 1950s and 1960s, and a global pandemic in which the Black minority, or not minority, but mortality rate is more than double than that of the white rate, and in which 45%, nearly half of the Black-owned businesses are closed. And so that the impact of something presumably random, such as the pandemic, however catastrophic, can be so linked to one's racial identity is highly problematic, and further evidence that as a nation we are failing miserably. This links to a larger political and economic vulnerability, whether we're in the pandemic or not. The immoral devaluation of Black lives has been ingrained in America's political economy and is long overdue for a reckoning. Okay, so they acknowledge that there is definitely a reckoning, but here's the thing. It's 23 pages of text, and at the end, it poses an amount. Basically, the amount that I saw, if I'm not mistaken, and I will read the article, pretty much when you look at the 23-page text now, you're free to pull it up, and you can save it and you can download it and you can actually look at it. It goes into the constitutional amendment codifying expansion of the 13th Amendment by the courts, the police reform. It goes in depth in all of these things. It's as if you were reading some historical account and what they feel of how to basically change what is going on in terms of the police brutality. With police reform, they have bullets of different ideals that could possibly work for police reform to get it in motion. But here's the thing. I'm going to say this. If Ice Cube says that he doesn't really trust the political pundits or the politicians, then why would you go and lean towards the Republicans and Trump per se? Why would you expect, if he didn't do what they have so eloquently wrote out in 23 pages. How come if he didn't do that in his first term, what would make you feel as though his second go around he's going to actually pull through and do this? Look at the climate we're in. I'm just using this reality of what we're going through. We're going through COVID-19. There's a lot of things that you have in the 23-page document. And I feel as though this is not to bash Ice Cube at all. I'm looking at the situation, the circumstance. Here, they say that they want $500 million, I believe, for the administration to put together this contract and actually work to put $500 million to actually implement this contract into the Black community. If that's the case, then how come this could not have been done before you came to him? And he should not have to wait for a popular hip hop artist at an election year to get this type of thing done. This is not something that is because contracts are, I want to say to you, made to be broken. Let me make that clear. The other thing is that $500 million, if that's what he's proposing, do you think he would do that even if he's not elected? If he was really genuine and sincere, and then why would he wait until an election year and until people are in a situation where they're hitting rock bottom? There's probably going to be a tsunami of evictions and foreclosures by January. So why would you wait until November to unveil this type of platinum plan? I would say if you didn't trust either of these politician cohorts, how come you couldn't hold a benefit with your popularity and your status and the people that you know in your music arena, and then others that you've been around that you know? I'm sure you know people that could have put together their own form of resources to help the Black community. It didn't necessarily mean that it would have to be 500 million, but it would do the same things. But also, if you did want a dollar figure or dollar amount included in that, how come if you're using these politicians for that particular thing, why, if you don't trust them, how come you couldn't go to like maybe, someone like Zuckerberg or Bezos or somebody else, even Oprah, someone else that isn't a politician to if to help raise the money, or do the philanthropy gift for your contract without having the input of Republicans involved? Because I would think that in an election year that Trump would expect for you and maybe the Black community to hold him accountable for that contract, and in doing so they would expect in return the Black vote. Don't you think? Honestly. And so that's what my position is on it. So this article was out of the complex. This is Ice Cube right here. And so it was basically saying that it's not 500 million, but it was 500 billion. So excuse me for that. But I know I had seen 500, so it was 500 billion. So let me read it here. So Ice Cube worked with Trump's re-election campaign. So let's start off there. It's a re-election campaign. So fans aren't happy to hear it. So on Tuesday afternoon, Trump's 2020 senior advisor Katrina Pearson posted a tweet thanking the hip hop veteran for his willingness to work with Trump's administration on what is called this platinum plan. It's not millions, it's 500 billion, okay? So actually that's more. So and so the package that will purportedly help black communities is what it was. So I was right about that. So and actually it's a lot more. I thought it was more like, you know, million, billion, trillionaire, you know. Okay, so it's in the billions. Okay, so that's a lot more than what I had said earlier. So the plan is to create 3 million, okay, 3 million new jobs and push for criminal justice reform and improve access to better education and job opportunities, reduce healthcare costs, and designate Juneteenth as a national holiday. Which some of this stuff could be done, could be done now, or it could have been done before this pandemic and before, this election year. So that's what I'm saying. Why now in the election year for re-election he's wanting to do this? And so this is just, to me, it seems like it's pandering to the black community and using a famous popularized hip hop artist to help doing the pandering. Um, and I'm not saying that that's what Ice Cube was his initial move was. I really believe his move was genuine. He really wants these things to pull through. But the people he's working around, I think they have another agenda entirely altogether, and it's more about getting reelected and the votes. And I don't think that they really will be genuine about it. Now that's my opinion. I don't know. I'm wondering if Trump is not reelected, would he still do this? And I feel like if he was really sincere, how come he didn't do this before reelection time? So that's what I'm saying, because this problem didn't just occur, this problem has been ongoing. So if he was really serious about putting forth this type of a plan, how come this couldn't happen before? And then on the part of Ice Cube, if you don't want politicians or you don't trust them and you don't want them involved in terms of, all of the rhetoric you've heard, the things that you heard that they say they're going to do and they don't really follow through, what makes you think after all of knowing that this will be anything different? And so that's what I'm saying. So this is Deontay Johnson. He is the BCF president. So Ice Cube. So each one of these people are like in Trump's campaign. Okay, they are his associates, and so they basically have put on Twitter, how they had this ground-breaking platinum plan for the black community. So Ice Cube has officially given Trump campaign permission to reveal that he has been helping us develop President Trump's groundbreaking Black Trump platform, the Platinum Plan. Some people have gotten a chance to read the 23 pages. From what I'm looking at from a bird's eye view, it looks like something I would study. And, the ideas, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's one thing to say something and it's another to actually put those words into motion and do something about it. And you don't necessarily need politicians to do those things. We all are aware, those of us that are astute enough to see that contract even before we look at it. We know what is before us. But what I'm saying is that if you get these people involved and you really believe that they just want to do this without getting the votes, I don't think so. I think Trump is expecting for the black vote. He's expecting real black people in, and this is one of his ways of trying to do just that. And he's trying to reel people in with uh, IOU type of move, and you don't see the $500 billion yet, but it's an IOU Black community move if you vote for me and reelect me. So this is Katrina Pearson, and she says, shout out at Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with at the real Donald Trump administration to help develop the platinum plan. And so you can look this thing up. Leaders gonna lead, haters gonna hate. Thank you for leading. And so she puts a black fist up. And so Ice Cube, he makes his reply. So he replied, facts. I put out a CWBA. Both parties contacted me. The Dems and the Republicans, I suppose. Those are the parties he's referring to. So Trump campaign made some adjustments to their plan after talking to us about the CWBA. Okay, CWBA. So that's basically what Ice Cube said here. It says the artist actor has made a number of controversial comments suggesting that he was unwilling to vote for the Democratic ticket throughout the 2020 race, but Cube consistently called on both parties to explain how they will help the Black Americans, which I feel genuinely that's what he's looking for in terms of Ice Cube, but he also called on politicians to sign the contract with Black America, okay, to sign it, which laid out a number of commitments related to prison reform, bank lending, and more. Okay, so this is an updated version of a contract with the Black America. We've been working on it with a lot of experts and great people during these last few weeks. So the document's much stronger and much more detailed. So we will continue towards perfection. So they have been working on it. And so the fans gave him a lot of backlash and criticism that was extremely harsh on some ends. But he said that Ice Cube, he basically said that he wasn't really going to say much more. He seemed like he was still adamant about working on this contract. I say this is the developing story in short, that we have yet to see if this actually is going to come through, but it says here, one of the fans' criticism, which got a retweet with a comment from Cube, began, my hip hop hero at Ice Cube is working with the dark side. I haven't felt this low since Kobe passed. And so Cube weighed in on that comment. Every side is a dark side for us here in America, and they're all the same until something changes for us. So they're all lie, and they are all cheat. They all lie. They all cheat. But we can't afford not to negotiate with whoever. Okay, if we can't afford not to negotiate with whoever is in power, our condition in this country will never change. So why would you pick Trump of all people to do this type of contract? The people that are in his campaign for re-election, why would you pick them? So that's all I'm saying. So our justice is bipartisan, okay? And so that's pretty much what he said here. Then Danny Morrison's media show, he basically is the one that made that comment about him being the hip hop hero. So so it says October the 11th. On October 11th, 51-year-old reiterated his concerns with the country's current two-party system, so he's once again questioned whether the two major parties are truly committed to helping Black communities. Ice Cube acknowledged the backlash he received for refusing to endorse Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and suggested Democrats were taking the Black vote for granted. So he went on to say that he had been in contact with both Democratic and Republican leaders, and emphasized that he did not trust any of them. That's the part I wanted to say. If he doesn't trust any of them, why would you still go to people in Trump's campaign? If you don't trust any of those people, why would you still go to those people? You're still going to those people. That's my thing. So no president has done right by us. Okay, if no president has done right, why are you going to Donald Trump's people for the black contract? Why? Why? Okay. So that's without, I'm not bashing, so that's why I'm asking her. So I don't trust none of them. He says putting our hopes and dreams behind any of them just don't work. You said that. And so that's what you're doing by asking all of those people to write up a contract and come up with 500 billion. I said million, actually is more, $1 billion to put forth in the black communities. And if they want to do that and they're so sincere about it in an election year and a re-election year at that, how come this couldn't be done before the election year? If this was an issue. And so that's what I'm saying. So it says straight up, I believe the Democrats have been nice, but I don't really see them pushing their policies in any different direction. He added the Democrats recruited every black celebrity and shit on their team. And so they just figured, tell Q to shut the fuck up and vote. And I ain't gonna do that, and so I ain't gonna push the program. So if that's the truth, what it's sounding like here is that he's more for the Republican side, because you talking to Republican campaign reelectors and you're talking to Trump's cabinet, or you're talking to Trump's camp pretty much. So he continued that we also met with Republicans. So he claims he met with both sides. Sounds like he's met more. He's met more with the Republicans, and I think maybe they are more adamant about this because they're trying to get the votes. So they move their agenda a lot because of what we've said, but they put 500 billion on the table. I don't know. I really don't know if this is actually going to turn up like what he thinks. I feel like this is a desperate move and it's pandering to the community because of re-election and it's re-election year. And if you don't see the money, I mean, let's say if he doesn't right now, he's not doing well in the polls. So if he doesn't get reelected, Trump, will he still do this? And if you get him to sign it, now, like I said, let me go back and reiterate this: contracts are made to be broken. And so I really don't, really, in my opinion, believe that they're really sincere about this. But whoever else that isn't involved with all of this, just saying things and not doing it, I believe that, there are other people that may actually try to put something together, like Colin Kaepernick. He's good for trying to call individuals together to try to raise money for something like this. Also, there are other people who are really ultra wealthy that may be willing to participate in some kind of philanthropy in something like this. There are also people that Ice Cube could have went to regarding reparations issues. This definitely would have tied into that, and I'm sure that there are other people other than people that are just politicians that are involved with Trump that would have been more genuine about a contract such as this one that I'm looking at. But who knows what is really going to happen. So I just know one of them is going to win, and I don't know if it really matters to us. And so that's pretty much Ice Cube. I don't think he deserves like really mean criticism, but the criticisms I think are disappointments more so because people feel as though that basically the things that I had asked. Why would you go to Trump people that are Trump supporters, and think that they're going to be behind you? So I guess there's a video with Ice Cube pretty much making his comments. I'm not going to click on it. You can click on it when you want to. But news of Cube's alleged involvement in the Platinum Plan immediately sparked criticism, as it was labeled entertainer, and then they put sellout and manipulator, because some of the fans that he actually gets probably most of his record and album sales, or whatever, if you would call it, track sales, are people that are not Trump supporters, is what it sounds like. So some Twitter users, they slammed him for not being completely transparent, because earlier on in the article, he said that he didn't really get behind politicians, the Dems and the Republicans, but the people who are giving him the shouts outs, the Platinum Plan is Trump claims he's going to put 500 billion on the table for this, and it sounds like more of the Trump supporters are the ones that might be behind this whole thing. And it's called the Trump Platinum Plan. And even Roland Martin, the talk show host, is very political and talks about this in detail. He says that it's aluminum foil plan. It's very thinly, you know, put together. It's not as hearty as you would think it would be. So I have read the Ice Cube's contract with Black America, and there is nothing in Trump's plan that is similar. Nothing. Okay. You know what? And I just a couple of lines, just looking at it, when I actually went through the 23 pages, and from what I saw, it looked like you were going sort of like reading a history lesson. A little bit, they put a little bit here, a little bit there, and a little bit of whatever they felt was inclusive of police reform, and all these. It was like a lot of ideas that were well thought out, and they were kind of like just meshed together, and then they organized it, but it didn't really say that they were really going to do anything, except the Trump cabinet, I guess, or the Trump people. Let's say, I wouldn't say it was the cabinet. I think it's just people that are maybe influencers of their Trump supporters. They claim that they are going to try to put 500 billion on the table for this. I believe it's just to get everybody to rile people up into believing that they're really going to be for the community and be about the people and the community, which, if you look at what's going on, they haven't been so far. That's why I guess people feel manipulated, and they don't feel like he was transparent about what he said he was doing. He made it seem like it was a platinum plan, but he left the Trump off. Like he made it seem like he just randomly got ideas from different directions. But in the end, we're finding out Trump is behind all of this. And I find it rather disturbing, actually, because this is an election year, and I'm going to add this in there. Do you realize that they, as in the Republicans here in California, they've been placing fake ballot boxes in 3 counties: Orange County, Fresno County, also here in the Los Angeles County. Do you really believe that people like that are going to really help the Black community? I'm sorry, I don't think so. That's my feelings on it. I can't get behind this whole thing. But anyway, this right here is another person who, I'm going to read what he says here. What what's fucked up about this is Ice Cube's situation. He didn't have the courage to say that he was working with Trump, and he used blackness as his platform to speak on Trump's behalf, and he's a coward. We had to learn about his partnership with Trump from a white woman 20 days before an election. See, that's where the frustration and the part of manipulation of what people say it sounded like he wasn't transparent, where that whole thing is coming from, and so it's disconcerting. So Ice Cube had a price to sell his community out to the GOP, and apparently the check must have cleared. So this is one of those facial comments. So Ice Cube pulled a Van Jones. That I saw it stood out, and has been working with Trump campaign, yeah, the campaigning people, on their platinum plan, which is literally just promising people 500, they have million, but actually it's billion, and not actually doing it. What a sellout. And so I guess there's probably a lot more criticism as you go down the list. Maximus, I don't know what's a bigger slap in the face, the fact Ice Cube is inserting himself as a leader, or he's actually believes Trump will honor any demands he actually has. Exactly. I don't believe that it's going to go like, I feel like this. If he was really going to do this, why wait till an election year to put forth something like this? It's some stupid ads. Sorry about that. Was to a movie. Okay, an original wear a mask, wear a sleeve. Okay, so there's crazy ads on here. But anyway, I don't really, it's out of the complex that this article came out. And so I don't really believe, this is by Joshua Espinoza. I don't believe Ice Cube really realizes the, that they haven't really done anything for our communities. I'm like, why would you expect an election year? I feel like they're really reaching for straws. They're trying to grab as many voters as possible because they're desperate, because Trump's not really doing well in the voting polls, is from what I'm hearing. I mean, it's not over with. Things could change, but at this point, it is not really looking too good. And I think a lot of it has to do with recently we also put out this idea of herd immunity. We have a major pandemic, and he believes that if most people get infected, that we'll arrive at herd immunity. And he's got a group of scientists that are working on that whole bill, so that we can acquire herd immunity. So they want to open up all the businesses and not put anybody back on lockdown, because they propose the reason why they want to do that is because of the economic crisis that we're faced with. And on top of that, they feel that if we have more people that are sick with the virus, that we will actually achieve herd immunity. But however, what I heard is that's not how herd immunity is achieved. And so that's putting a lot of people at risk. He's not even looking at old people, people who are already vulnerable. And he is right around doctors, people who can give him medicine. He has access to great health care. And there's a lot of people that don't have health care. They can't afford to go to the doctor. Maybe they don't even have health care at all. Maybe they have no health insurance. And so he's basically touting something that is pretty seriously dangerous. And so why would you get behind somebody that's doing that, especially when people already have lost a lot? There's been like 7 million, I believe we're at 7 million now, people that have been infected with COVID. And there has been a lot of death, and there's still people that are getting infected, and still people. Even his son, I read today, his son Barron has COVID. Um, I don't think this is a good idea, Ice Cube. I'm sorry I have to say that. I'm not going to bash you. I feel like your intentions might have been genuine, but I don't think the people, like Trump, his campaign, and then the people that he's associating with, their ideas maybe sound good, but that's all it is. It just sounds good. So I'm gonna let this go, but if you want to look at this contract, I don't know if you can see this, but you can actually pull the contract up. You can read the contract. I pulled it up and downloaded it because I wanted to read it to an entirety. It's like I think 19, 20, 23 pages long. I think it's actually the 23rd page is just a little small, uh, a small, not that much print, but so I think it's actually a 22 pages long, 22 pages in length. And so I thought it was some pretty good stuff in there, but I really don't trust that, honestly. Let's say he doesn't get elected. Is he still going to help you with the plan? Right now they're trying to get Donald Trump to release his for the IRS to release his income tax, and he doesn't want to do that. He wants to sue. He also is in trouble. He has a whole bunch of lawsuits. He's going to need money for lawyers. I don't know that where is he going to do this? I mean, I don't know. That's my feelings. I think it has all to do with getting reelected and trying to gain the votes of black voters, people who are probably more or less not educated, and they don't read, and they don't know anything about history because they don't even care. They just live for the moment, and probably as much as that they know is what they see on the news, if at best. And people that are not really going to really examine this close enough are going to make bad choices. And so I don't think everybody's going to do that, but you can see from the backlash that you're getting that you got a lot of young people who are now waking up to all of this, and they see that this president, he's deceived a lot of people. And so fortunately we do have a group of young people who are educated enough, smart enough to read and to see. Even if they don't read the whole contract to its entirety, they're smart enough to see that this is not going to probably amount to anything. If he's doing it, it's probably he's looking for us to vote for him, which I have not done and I'm not going to do. I didn't do it the first time and I'm not going to do it the second. So that's my opinion on that. I'm going to let this go. What are your thoughts about this? Is really, I don't fault Ice Cube. I think maybe he thought he was doing something to genuinely help. Um, and the criticisms are hard, but you got to see where people are coming from. But think about it. I think I saw an article recently, and it was earlier today. I see a whole bunch of articles, but I saw one where Malcolm X, he actually met with KKK leaders to see if he could have a separate state for black people, believe it or not. This kind of feels like that. Only it's not as dramatic. We're not looking for a separate state. You're looking for police rule. Well, it's a little bit almost like that. But I don't, the people you look at, it's like you look into the enemy for a compromise and think about it. There's a catch. There's always a catch. But having said this, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening.